that the rumor of the pact that was called the Pact for the Continuation of Colonialism is real. If it's not real, how can you as a country not have your own currency?
This is the stereotypes.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this day's podcast on the stereotypes. There is a serious revolution going across the whole of Africa. Today, we heard of the news of what has happened in Gabon. Just few weeks ago, we all know what happened in Niger, in Mali, and in Burkina Faso. The French, with their wicked policy, I call it a self-centered policy that the French people have always embarked upon, especially in their relationship with the African people. It's always been lopsided. And the four term they use, le plus grand France, I see it as a means of exploiting the generality of the Francophone Africa. You saw what happened just very early this morning. We woke up to the news of the coup d'etat in what was it called? Gabon.
Gabon, yeah.
Chukuma, what's your take on that?
Well, they will say in Latin, the voice of the people is the voice of God. The people have spoken, and you can see how I saw some videos how happy they were celebrating the streets and doing a lot of things. I think what is going on in Africa, and actually some part of Africa, like you rightly said, during the Arab Spring was in northern part of the Africa,
Yes.
and now it's now the Francophone countries. You can't just have all the sham. These things are caused by not adherence to rule of law. Elections are just sham, very stupid elections, and they just
Someone in the seat of power goes there, just like Paul Biya did,
Yep.
changed the term of office till he dies. And just like what's happened in the country where you just had the coup, the father of the current president was the president, and he handed over to his son. And the same thing he wants to do with the same thing he did is what Cameroonian President Paul Biya is planning to do with his own child. We saw him going to France to celebrate his 40 years as the president. And then the Europeans, who always come to attack people just the way they attacked Muammar Gaddafi, saying that Muammar Gaddafi was a tyrant because probably he wasn't in favor of the policies of the white people. He was more pro-African than pro-European and pro-colonial influence. Now they went against him, they brought him down. And you also saw what happened in Côte d'Ivoire with Gbagbo, Laurent Gbagbo, and Alassane Ouattara. Laurent Gbagbo was anti-West. He favored what was happening, what was needed for the African people to be emancipated and then to create a better society called Côte d'Ivoire. The French people fought him during the election period to make sure he failed. Just the way they did all they could to bring down the Libyan man, General Muammar Gaddafi. The same thing is happening now. The coup in Niger. The French people are doing everything possible to make sure that their stooge, Les Esclaves, they're making sure that he returns to power against the interest of the people. All they do most times is they tell you or they talk about they're going for what's it called? Humanitarian works in Africa and all the rest. And these are means and medium which they use to sap and steal the resources that are embedded in Africa, even when we do not benefit or profit from the goods that the Lord and our forefathers and our ancestors has left for us beneath the floor for us to, Niger is very rich in uranium. Uranium is used in the production of atomic bomb and in the generation of electricity. Yet, you see that France controls it through their own company. You can research it online. France controls it through their own company. They have almost 65% stake in the mining of uranium. And that is why they are fighting to take back Niger, not because of the interest of the Nigerian.
Yeah, I think when there is free and fair election, half of the problem in Africa will be solved. Problem we have in Africa is um, the idea of democracy is that the power belongs to the people,
Yes.
that the elected officials get their legitimate power from the concept of the government, which is the people. There's a delegated power to the people. But in Africa, when you are elected, you are now the Alpha and the Omega.
But Chikuma, let me ask you this. In a situation, must we define the governance from the spheres of influence or from the perspective of the European?
No, it mustn't see.
Now, no. Like the Igbo people that we know are democratic in nature. Then some others are monarchical. Mana nga agwakwa gị that the best way to handle an average African man is through the characteristic approach. And that is what the military defines. And then if you look at the Francophonies, the French West Africa, the way the country has been run, you don't see it's very stable because all the presidents in most of those countries are stooge
The Western
or
part.
puppets of the West. Now, how can you not be a stooge when you do not have your own currency? They don't. They bring a group. What the French people did was a grouping of two sects. Now you have the Semak region that is for Central Africa, and then you have the Bessel section. And now all these people, they pool all their national reserve to the bank in France. Now the bank in France has the autonomy to make financial rules for the countries that are in West and Central Africa. That is neo-colonialism and even direct colonialism, because I see that the rumor of the pact that was called the Pact for the Continuation of Colonialism is real. If it's not real, how can you as a country not have your own currency? You do not have a right, and then you do not even have a right to embark on military pact with all that countries, except it's with France. What do you call it?
I think, like you said, it's neo-colonialism, and I don't think we should lay all these blames on the West, because what happened in Gabon, this guy's father finished and gave it to what's going on in Uganda now. Since 1986, somebody has been in power.
Yep.
That is close to 40 years now. He has been in power, one person just winning the election. And these guys are more dangerous than military dictators.
Yes, of
In military dictatorship, you have foreign powers, you have international organizations trying to apply pressure to remove them.
Yes.
But these guys seem to be legitimate. And they are legitimate in the other way, because they don't conduct election, they just conduct sham elections.
The
So
primary
they become very dangerous to even remove. To get rid of them is very dangerous.
the fear I have for a lot of these people is that the people, even when the people don't trust them, they rig.
Yes.
Now listen, the rig, the military takes it by force. The civilians takes power by rigging.
Rigging, yeah.
It's all the same evil.
Evil, yeah.
Now, see, the revolution going on in West and Central Africa is a long overdue revolutionary action. Military totalitarianism, which characterizes militarism, is not something that should be encouraged. But at this point, and what the French people, the deception and a lot of things that the French people are doing, I can tell you that the military takeover in these countries is a necessary evil. It comes about from I just call it, it's a principle of national interest. National interest is not, it can be against the interest of the French people, but it's in the interest of the good of the people of Niger, of the people of, what do you call it, Mali, Burkina Faso, and all the rest.
And currently Gabon.
And currently Gabon. Will you tell me, okay, now you're my son, and then I control this country over a period of time. After that, I give it to you. Just like I said, I feel that is the same thing Paul Biya is trying to do in Cameroon.
And I think the Uganda guy is also accused of trying to transfer the power to his son. But the thing is, if we must condemn that, we must also condemn Gaddafi, because most of us still believe that Gaddafi being in power would have actually made Libya better. But I think then his son was, I think, in charge of the Air Force. The second son was in charge of the Navy. He was the president.
Now, I challenge anyone to point to me any of these presidents that the children does not enjoy flamboyant lives and all the rest.
Yeah,
even for him to have made him to be in charge of the Navy meant he wanted to put him to work. But that aside,
I think the solution to all these things, as far as you don't allow people to choose whoever they want to govern them, there will be instability in Africa. You can't continue with all these elections that are very, 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 very unfair, and then you expect stability. Justice comes when there is.
For instance,
the election is not free and fair. We're going to have more problems.
Chukuma, if you go to French Africa, you'll be shocked by what you see. I've been to at least 6 or 7 of them. The elections are just for the president. The president, like in Cameroon, the president appoints people to govern regions. They don't do election.